It is primary election day all across the Buckeye State. This is 5 on 2, and we are your local election headquarters. We have live team coverage from across the Miami Valley and the state of Ohio. 2 News State House reporter Jason Aubrey will be joining us live from Columbus.
And here at home, Kristen Escow reporting on voter turnout so far today from Miami Township. Plus 2 News reporter Dana Smith reporting live from Dayton on the race for County City Commission.
But 2 News State House reporter Jason Aubrey does begin our election coverage at 5.
He talked to Secretary of State John Husted in Columbus.
So far, so good. At least that's what the Secretary of State is telling us this evening. Now, an estimated 1.3 million people will vote in this election, far fewer than the number that are expected to turn out in November for the midterm elections. Now, helping to relieve some of the pressure on our system is a boost in early and absentee ballots that have been requested and cast. Close to 300,000 were sent out and about 260,000 have been returned. Now, all of this is helping prevent significant stress on the aging voting infrastructure in the state.
There's not a lot of stress on the system today because it's a lower voter turnout than you would have, say, in a presidential election. So if a machine goes down on a day like today, it's not going to create a problem because you have plenty of voting equipment out, plenty of voting machines in every precinct to handle the volume that we're dealing with.
Now, that does not mean that some problems have not popped up. The ones that have been relatively small and, according to Husted, were resolved quickly, resulting in no major problems so far. And the polls will remain open until 7:30. We're live at the State House. Jason Aubrey, 5 on 2.
And there was one reported issue at a polling station in Clark County today. 2 News reporter Deborah Bogart has our team coverage.
Of our calls across the Miami Valley, we've not had many problems at the polls, but in Clark County, election officials are sort of working in the dark when it comes to communication.
We're still experiencing technical difficulties here at the office. Currently, we do not have any phones or internet here in the office. It will not interfere with the voting process at the locations, and it will not interfere with any kind of election night reporting to the Secretary of State or even to our own website.
Clark County Board of Elections Director Jason Baker tells us this is a first for him. The phone and internet outage began this morning and is impacting the County Election Board and other Clark County offices, but the good news is it is not keeping people from voting. Polls in Clark County will be open until 7:30, and then Baker expects the results to come in after that without any problems. We'll, of course, be watching those results for the election right here on 2 News. In Dayton, Deborah Bogart, 5 on 2.
And as people head out to their respective voting precincts, poll workers are helping to keep things moving smoothly. But election officials say fewer people are working at the polls these days due to what they call a lack of interest. 2 News reporter Kristen Escow is live in Miami Township after speaking with some of the poll workers there.
Yeah, Mark, poll workers here at Cox Arboretum have been hard at work all day since the polls opened at 6:30 this morning. They used to have 12 poll workers here at this location. Now they only have 8. They're able to keep things going, but election officials say they've had to ramp up their efforts to recruit poll workers. As voters head out to the polls, it's the people behind the tables that help make it all possible. Ilana Ratliff has been doing this for the past 20 years.
It's something to do. And because I'm retired.
But the number of people working the polls like Ratliff has been dropping. This polling place at Cox Arboretum has 1/3 fewer poll workers than a few years ago.
We are seeing an increased need in our recruiting of precinct election officials to work at our 173 locations.
Montgomery County Board of Elections Director Jan Kelly says she's not sure why fewer people are interested in becoming poll workers. But she says the Board of Elections can't do it alone, and poll workers are a crucial part of the process.
It's a great day for people to work for our democracy. It's important. We have a right to vote, and we love to have people help us exercise in our community that right.
And Jan Kelly says she's incredibly grateful to all the poll workers that do come out every year. Now, that office is looking for poll workers for this November, as well as regions or counties rather across the Miami Valley. If you're interested in becoming a poll worker, we've got more information on our website under As Seen on 2. For now, we're live in Miami Township. Kristen Escow, 5 on 2.
Another major item on the ballot today, the race for Montgomery County Commissioner.
2 News reporter Dana Smith continues our coverage live in Dayton.
2 Democrats and 3 Republicans are in the running for Montgomery County Commissioner. They're all hoping to replace the current commissioner, Dan Foley, who's not running for re-election.
On the ballot this time around, on the Republican side, it's Doug Barry, Gary Leitzel, and Bob Matthews. Leitzel is a former Dayton mayor. Both Barry and Matthews have served as Miami Township trustees. On the Democratic side, it's Carolyn Rice and Don Schaefer. Rice is the Montgomery County treasurer. Schaefer served as a Clayton Council member. They're all hoping to replace Dan Foley, who was elected commissioner back in 2007. He's one of 3 Democrats on the commission, the others being Deb Lieberman and Judy Dodge. Foley's decision not to run for re-election could leave an opening for a Republican candidate to claim a spot in the commission for the first time in years.
So will a Democrat once again secure a spot on the Montgomery County Commission, or will a Republican take that spot for the first time in many years, becoming the sole conservative on the commission? We, of course, will let you know on air and online as soon as those votes come in. But for now, we're live in Dayton. Dana Smith, 2 News, working for you.
And for a complete look at what's on the ballot, as well as a countdown to the close of the polls tonight at 7:30, check our website anytime. It is WDTN.com. And of course, as we've seen in the past, weather can impact voter turnout, but boy, that is not the case today
Yeah,
by any stretch.
I don't think that's going to be the situation. Storm Team 2 Chief Meteorologist Brian Davis tracking another beautiful night out there. Brian?
Unless it's so nice you just want to sit on the patio and enjoy the nice evening, because we've got great weather out there. Live Doppler 2 HD, completely dry over western Ohio. Look at the sunshine on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems cameras. We check out the evening commute on Interstate 75. No threat of any severe weather next 24 hours on our severe weather index, although the rain chance will be coming back to the area as we get to Wednesday evening, late afternoon and evening. That chance for some showers and some thunderstorms moving into the area. 75 degrees right now. We have a calm wind being reported, 34% the relative humidity, and temperatures this evening should slip off into the upper 60s by the time we get to 9 o'clock with light and variable winds. I'll have your Storm Team 2 forecast coming up.
And 2 News is live on the scene of breaking news right now as Dayton police are investigating a shooting. As you see here in this live picture, homicide detectives are on the scene as reports came in that a victim was found in the 1500 block of West 2nd Street. Police tell us the victim suffered life-threatening injuries, and we will be out here on scene working to get answers on what happened. We'll have the very latest here on air, also on WDTN.com.
Also at 5, police reports are revealing new information as to why law enforcement were out searching at that Miamisburg home last week. The FBI, BCI, and Miamisburg police spent 2 full days searching a property on Lower Miamisburg Road. Well, this came as investigators executed a search warrant related to the disappearance of 25-year-old Chelsea Coe, who disappeared in August of 2017. We've learned that past calls to that home indicate that Coe lived at that residence for several months in the year 2017. Police say they do have a person of interest in this, but are not releasing that person's name yet.
And we're learning new information after a deadly shooting in Harrison Township. The Montgomery County coroner identifies the victim as 25-year-old Janiqua Morrow. Authorities say a woman called 911 to report a shooting in the 1900 block of Palisades Drive near Embassy Place just before 1 a.m. Investigators found the woman dead on the scene. An arrest has been made, and there will be a vigil for Morrow tonight at 6 p.m. at the location of the shooting.
And still to come on this Election Day issue of 5 on 2, drug companies facing a grilling on Capitol Hill today regarding the nation's opioid epidemic.
But first, Cedarville professor Mark Clausen joining us to break down the biggest issues on the ballot today. So stick with us here as 5 on 2 is just getting started.
As you know, it is primary election day all across the Buckeye State today. Joining us now again live to discuss election day issues, we welcome back Dr. Mark Clausen, professor of history and law at Cedarville University. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We had you on first at 4 talking about the governor's race. We pretty much covered that. Let's spend some time here talking about voter turnout. We just interviewed Jan Kelly with Montgomery County Elections, indicating about a 12% voter turnout today. That is not good.
Not good. It's been trending that way in a general fashion across the United States for at least 20 years or more, but it's been trending more steeply recently. And there are several reasons for that, actually, that at least people have tried to pinpoint. One is it's a mid-year election or a midterm election.
Right.
People don't like that. Another is that the candidates just aren't as exciting. That's an issue too. There aren't very many competitive races, really competitive races. That doesn't draw people because you don't have the advertisement. Those are at least two reasons why you don't have as many people. And then in general, there's the issue of people thinking, well, the most important political issues are at the national level. Local levels don't interest them as much as they did.
Yeah, but the old saying is all politics are local.
It's true.
When you're talking about school levies and property taxes, these are things that really, hit you directly.
They should care. Absolutely, they should care. Unfortunately, for one thing, they're not advertised very widely. So people don't know except what they may see on a sign. You don't see the TV ads that you typically see for the candidates. That's one thing. For another thing, again, they just associate the most important elections with those national or important state elections. So if something's not important, they don't show up.
The other trend, I think, Mark, we've seen in recent years, we've got more people voting early now. This early voting thing has really become a big deal. It's changed the way campaigns are run. I've talked to people working on governor's campaigns and the like, and they say, we've had to change the game. We don't focus on election day so much anymore. We talk about when early voting actually begins. Yes. This used to be absentee voting, but it really isn't that. I mean, more and more people are taking the opportunity to just sit down, take their time in the kitchen, fill it out, and mail it in.
As a result of that, you'd see the campaigning extended backward in time.
Right.
So it almost becomes an endless cycle in some cases. Even though you don't need to do an endless cycle, more and more candidates are trying to get out ahead of each other and starting before each other. And so that just exacerbates the whole problem, makes it worse than it is. So that's what we see going on, I think, with this, partly because of that early voting, partly because the candidates themselves just want to get ahead of each other starting.
All right, the evolution of elections, all part of the story here today. Mark Clausen, thank you very much. She'll be back with Brooke in just a bit. Speaking of Brooke, here she is.
All right, this is what's coming up here on 5 on 2. President Trump following through on his campaign threat and withdrawing the U.S. from the landmark nuclear accord with Iran. We'll have a full report on that decision from Capitol Hill.